Where's this at, on the river?
Yeah, River Ridge condominiums, down there right before you get to the new.
No, the condominiums down there, right across the Muddy River.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I know where it's at.
Now, why would you want to tie it to a distillery instead of the marina?
Oh, I thought it was Muddy Ridge. I got 5 bottles of rum down there, that hadn't been opened yet.
There is a,
Yeah, is that what it is?
talking points.
My son's
And then
got
there's
2
gonna be
bottles.
a deed in here we'll talk about.
I hadn't had time to open it.
We already on it.
Well, my gout bothers me when I drink, so I've been staying off it. Yeah.
Is it on?
All right.
Chris, you gonna stay for this one?
I've got some time. I've got an issue with Matt, so I may have to go.
Oh, thank God I found my pen. All right. Come on, Doug.
If I get up, that means I got a text from him, okay? So just
I wonder if Doug
FYI.
forgot.
I know we're acquiring.
He's the one that set it up, didn't he?
I don't think he's going to, according to Jamie, I don't think doesn't make it always.
I haven't heard from Mayor yet, so I don't know.
He's the one that set this date up.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just forgot, I'm sure. It's,
All right.
I mean, you either go forward with it or defer it till he's here, so somebody may.
Well, let's just go ahead and rock and roll, yeah, come on.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go begin a meeting.
Let me give you a real quick background. River Ridge Pump Station, River Ridge Condominium Association contacted us back in early October, around October 10th. Wanted us to take a look at or consider taking over the private lift station they have located down there. We've had a couple meetings with them and let them know that before we even bring it to you, they'd have to understand that they have to bring it up to the current city standards. Talked to them a little bit. You shut it all the way. We talked to them, explained to them back and forth through emails and also through personal correspondence what they have. Before we get started, they let us know on the front side that when River Ridge Condominiums was formed, that the property that the lift station is sitting on had been deeded to the city of Belmont. On the back 2 pages on the handout I give you is an unofficial copy of the actual deed. They sent it, and then I looked it up. And the one I looked up is the one I printed off. They sent the exact same thing. In the meantime, once this meeting had been arranged, Jerry had sent give me some basic talking points down here to make sure that they met for you to consider if you're going to consider taking this over. Let me say this up front. Me and my staff aren't against it, and we're not for it. We'll do whatever this committee recommends and the council votes on. It's one more lift station. It's not a huge lift station. Some maintenance requirements will be there. There'll be a little more cost to us, but we're not against it. We're not for it, just as long as they bring them up to what we consider the minimum standards for the city of Belmont. Right now the pumps they have in there will pump at a rate approximately of 4 gallons a minute. They have 2 brand new pumps that Stanley, you correct me if I'm wrong, Stanley Environmental or someone installed for you recently.
Yeah.
They're brand new. We have asked for, just so we can, we've asked for all the specs on it. My staff's went over the specs, but we want to know O&M manuals for it. And Stanley's going to send us those O&M so we can go over all the specs, not just the specs they sent us. The wet well size is 656 gallons. We've already verified what the wet well size is. We already know that they've replaced the pumps. We already know they're all aware that we will require not only upgrade to the telemetry or panel down there, which would include a dialer system. They will need to fence it in. It won't need to be It will not need to be concreted or put any asphalt down because it's right on the edge of the asphalt.
Okay.
And our trucks can, our crank trucks can get in and out of there with no problem. With that said, with the new crank trucks we have, with the one new crank truck and the old crank truck we have, we would not have any trouble pulling their pumps out there, so they wouldn't need to put a horse system. Leave that door, please. Thank you. With that said, we would like something that we did not tell them in the first phase of this. Jerry brought this to our attention. It's got an older type door, latch on, door and latch on there. It's solid steel. Probably need to be aluminum. So just for ease of access, so one person could open and close that door.
Okay.
And instead of having, we have, Jerry's recommended the inflow grate, a grate structure. Not really not conducive down there, in my opinion. Mine and Jerry's opinion differ a little bit. But what they have is worked well for years.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we would need to do that. We have similar situations in there where we don't have structures in there anymore, or have structures at all. We have told them they will need emergency power generation. In case we lost power, we will need to be able to run. We have recommended to them that they put in a natural gas instead of diesel. Cuts down on the noise a little bit.
All right.
And make sure it fits all of that. Other than that, if we go to 17, we do need them a drawdown test performed for us to witness. We'd like for them to have initial, and I agree with Jerry on this. We'd like for them to have an initial period of 6 months of operation, so we'll know there's not going to be, we're not going to foresee or inherit any problems.
Yeah.
And then once we do that, they will not need to dedicate that piece of property to us because basically we already own it. And the only other additive they would have to do that on there is give us easement or right of way for the force main that comes in there. The force main goes directly north out of there and then cuts back to the east and ties into what's the name of that little Volk Street? Ties into the end of Volk Street.
Okay.
We'll need that easement in there, so if that would be part of the lift station, part of our maintenance, so we can take care of that. I'm not recommending that we take over the 8 6-inch lines that feed into their wet well. I don't know what kind of shape they're in.
Yeah.
I'm just presenting all this to you, and I'll sit down and be quiet. We have a representative of HOA here, Mr. Brackett. Mr. Brackett can state his case and ask. Y'all can ask any questions of him unless you have any more questions for me.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
So, Chuck, I can get this in my mind. So, they have that lift station because is there a gravity line that goes through there?
There's 2, yes, sir.
So they're below the gravity line.
Yes.
So it's typical, like if a household was below a gravity line, they'd have to put a pump in to pump it up to get into the line. So that, and it serves all those apartments down there? How many apartments are, how many?
24 units.
24 units? Okay, and of course, I'd ask the HOA, why are you wanting to get rid of it? I mean, why are you wanting to turn it over to the city? But I'm sure he'll address that when he gets up. And then, of course, I'd like to hear recommendations from our city engineer.
Okay.
I didn't realize there was that many units down there.
Y'all have any more questions for me?
No.
Okay.
We're just investigating, and in February 1st of 1990, the city of Belmont bought the pump station from River Ridge for $10. And in this deed, in the lower parts down here, it says, in the event, the city of Belmont shall discontinue use of the above site as the pump station, title to this site will refer to River Ridge Condominium Association. And then below that, the city of Belmont is also granted an easement of the Ingress through and over the property of River Ridge Condominium Association. And it may be necessary for the purpose of servicing and maintaining the pump station. So, I mean, kind of sounds to me like the city owns it.
I would suggest that we have our attorney look into this, because anybody can deed you property and get it recorded at the recorder's office. For some reason, this parcel never shows up as a parcel on the maps, the GIS maps.
So your position is it's ours anyhow, is what you're saying?
Well, according to the deed, yes, sir.
Well, then
If
I
it was
think,
accepted by us.
then I think that before we do anything, we'll have to have the attorney to research it.
What would be the advantage, Chuck, of being able to have this pump station? No advantage, just helping the people that live there?
There wouldn't be any advantage or disadvantage.
It's a wash.
On that based on what we,
Yeah.
We already have 23 pump stations, we
Yeah.
already have in the neighborhood of 25 to 26
Yeah.
in operation. It'd just be one more pump station.
But I think what his premise is it's ours, and we don't know if it's ours, so we need to get it researched.
It's been listed as private since, as far back as I can tell, at least in 1990. I spoke to Jerry, I spoke to everybody else, and I was around, but I wasn't in the capacity I am now. I remember them being built, but with that said, there had to be a reason, for us never taking over maintenance of it.
Yeah, so Chuck, do you feel, I know you're saying, but you feel comfortable that we need to get to the attorney to put closure on it before we move forward? Okay. So my recommendation, Mr. Mayor, is before we move forward, that we get the attorney to check it, and then we can get back with your HOA and move from there.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be hard to check the deed real quick and stuff like that and find out for sure, and then we can get back to the drawing board on that.
If we had owned it all this time, you think
Yeah,
I don't think
that we had
anybody-
been running it for all this time.
yeah.
So this isn't showing up on GIS, and who's getting the tax on it? Who's paying it? If it
I don't, it doesn't show up on GIS.
doesn't show up there?
Then they're paying the tax on that little square.
It's incorporated into the greater property at
Yeah,
large.
just, if you go to GIS, all you see are the individual condo units.
Yeah.
And then
Well, whoever's paying the tax on it owns it. But I mean, it's good to have the city attorney.
Well, the HOA is paying tax on the whole parcel.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's good to have the city attorney go ahead and verify it. I mean,
I think since we have this deed, and we can also have the clerk go through our
Yeah.
meeting minutes, council meeting minutes for,
I think it would be good to check it, because there may be other implications that come into this besides us just taking it over.
you know, I contend they could write up the deed, their attorneys could do the deed and record it, and they never have been accepted.
So how long has the HOA maintained it?
1986.
It was deeded to you in 1990.
1990.
Well, rather than speculate, Mr. Mayor, let's do that if you're in agreement with it.
And,
Yeah.
and if we, if we own it, I mean, we'll,
Yeah. We just want to double check and make sure the ownership is, I mean, I feel certain that, based on what this says here, that we probably own it.
Well, I don't know, I wouldn't
We'll
speculate.
just double check and make sure.
It's unusual for us to own a pump station for an individual entity, in this case an HOA, because these are condos, so the people only own the inside of the building kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it just, I can't think of another example. If Walmart had a pump station, we wouldn't own that,
Yeah.
and things like that. So it's somewhat unusual from
Yeah.
that standpoint.
Did this come up because you had to upgrade the pumps and everything, the expense of it?
Yeah, it did, and I work for a town, and, you know, I kind of got involved. I work for the town of Mooresville,
Uh-huh.
and, you know, we did some research
Yeah.
and was wondering why we were paying taxes and, you know,
And having to pay to
maintaining the
maintain it.
station, water and sewer, and,
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
I understand it.
No, that makes
Yeah.
sense, yeah.
You kin to Chris Brackett?
that's my son.
I thought that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows Pepper.
Yeah, Pepper,
Yeah, that's my son.
yeah, they grew up together,
Yeah, I know, yeah.
yeah.
But just for clarification, I explained, I didn't get a chance to explain to Mr. Brackett that day, but I did explain to the HOA president, Turk, I can't remember Turk's last name. Mr. Ballard, that even if it was a private lift station, he asked me specifically on the telephone why they would be paying, why they would have to pay sewer.
Yeah.
Well, the sewer charges are based on the impact it has on our system.
Yeah.
Private or not, it would be to pay the sewer charges
Yeah.
because of the impact it has on our system.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll show you this real quick, but the only record that I've ever seen was, this is on 1964 sewer map, you know, of the whole city, and somebody had scribbled on here, Michelle, which is Michelle Textiles, to maintain pump station, and based on that, I think every other atlas that's been produced. Now, this would have been something on the wall for 20 years, because it's 1964.
I'm impressed you found it.
But, you know, this has been the reason, probably the reason all along. Somebody somewhere along the way said, Michelle Textiles, who developed the condos here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, Michelle Textiles, but it says.
that's how we got into it.
All right, thank you.
Whether
All right.
right or wrong.
So
We're just
I
waiting.
recommend before we move forward, we
Yeah.
get an attorney's ruling, and then we can reconvene to consider his request.
And have a clerk check meeting,
Yeah,
council meeting.
just have it checked to make sure. Yeah.
From about 1986 or
Right.
87.
And then from that point on, we can take it from there and make the decision.
Not that that would make any difference. I mean, if you wanted to take it over, you could still take it over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
Verify certain things.
Yeah, just give us a little bit of time on that.
Okay.
Okay,
You want this
thank
time?
you.
I made a little.
They have,
Yeah, that makes it a little bit easier.
but
You keeping Jim McCall squared away up in Mooresville? The Allstate agent up there, you know him?
No, that's, I was in Bell, I was working more.
You work in Mooresville? I didn't know if you knew him or not, so good friend of mine.
Charlie,
He ran for insurance commissioner.
Charlie, I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, we are adjourned.
Now we're starting to say that.
Stand adjourned, I'm going back to work. All right.
Thanks, Tom, right?
You got it, bud.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you for coming and help.
All right. Where'd Jamie go? Jamie?
See, why don't you turn this off?
Oh, okay, I was gonna tell you one thing,